Welcome back, everyone, to the deep dive.
It's great to be here.
So our mission, as always, is to take your sources and, well, really distill them right.
Exactly. To break them down into pure, actionable knowledge that's tailored specifically for you.
And today we have, I think, one of the most practical deep dives we've ever done. We're focusing on a single but very, very high leverage source.
That's right. The source material is, on the surface, pretty brief. It's just some excerpts from pasted text.
Right.
But the title alone gives us so much to work with. The resource is titled, How to Negotiate a Higher Salary.
I mean, that is the ultimate how-to, isn't it? Our whole mission today is to cut through all the noise and just extract the core framework.
The strategy, yeah. What must be inside any guide that has a title like that?
This isn't about just, motivation. This is about methodology.
Exactly. And for you, the learner, it's just foundational. A successful negotiation isn't just a one-time financial win.
Oh, not at all.
I mean, the difference between a good and a great negotiation, that can compound over your entire career. It's a huge amount of money we're talking about.
So the goal here is to really shortcut that learning curve and maybe identify the core strategic pillars.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it.
So let's jump right in. The core subject is salary negotiation. We know this is vital for your career, but let's look at the title itself. That how-to phrasing, it implies a system, a step-by-step process.
It does. And if we connect that to the bigger picture, the reason a resource like this is so in demand is because most people approach this whole thing so emotionally.
It feels like a high-stakes confrontation.
It absolutely does. So the promise of a how-to title is that it can transform that emotion into a logical, disciplined sequence of events.
It's the difference between just, hoping for a raise.
And demanding your market value based on actual data.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, I think. We can pretty much deduce what the mandatory first step of any effective guide would be. Before you even say a word, you need the data.
Absolutely. The first pillar has to be what we could call market value triangulation.
Triangulation, I like that word.
Yeah, because think about the title again. Negotiate a higher salary. That word higher, it implies you first have to know what the current high even is for your role in your location.
You can't just use a simple average from a website?
No, you have to triangulate. A proper guide would tell you to use published data, sure, like from Glassdoor or salary surveys.
But that's just one point.
Exactly. Then you leverage your personal network for insights. And maybe most critically, you assess your internal value.
What you've actually achieved, your quantifiable results for the company.
And your future contributions. You're building a data model, not just pulling a number from a hat. You need to know what top quartile compensation looks like for your specific profile.
Okay, so that makes sense. But what about the psychological side? Walking into that conversation feeling kind of exposed is where I think most people get stuck.
And that is where the structure has to introduce the concept of a BTNA.
BATNA.
Your best alternative to a negotiated agreement. This is arguably the most crucial piece of the whole preparation phase.
So a good guide isn't just telling you what to ask for.
It's preparing you for what happens if they say no.
Let's unpack that a bit. BTNA isn't just, I'll quit if I don't get it.
No. It's a well-defined, plausible alternative. So if you're negotiating a new job offer, your BTNA might be your current role that you're comfortable in.
Or another solid offer from a different company?
Precisely. And if you're negotiating for a raise internally, your BTNA might be, say, the documented proof that another firm is willing to pay you your target salary.
It gives you real leverage.
It transforms the conversation from a plea into a business decision. It sets the absolute floor for what you're willing to accept.
Okay, so the structure is becoming clear. Step 1, know your value. That's the data. Step 2, know your limits. That's your BATNA.
Right.
So now we get to the tactical execution, the moment of truth.
Delivering the ask.
The title implies there's a methodology here, and that methodology has to include the idea of anchoring.
And what's fascinating here is just how powerful the anchor is. The how-to guide absolutely must teach you how to be the one to set that first number.
Why is that so important?
Because research consistently shows that the first number that gets mentioned, the anchor, it dramatically influences the final outcome.
Even if it's a bit high. I think people worry about that. They don't want to blow up the negotiation before it starts.
That's the fear, yeah. People think they'll be seen as greedy or unrealistic.
But that's where the prep work comes in.
That's where it pays off. You set an aspirational anchor that is based on your top quartile market research, not some fantasy number. The structure demands you aim high, but you have to be able to justify it.
Okay, so let's say your research shows a range of, I don't know, 100 to 120,000.
Right. A good structure would instruct you to anchor at, say, 125. That gives the hiring manager room to negotiate you down.
But you still land comfortably in your target range.
Yeah.
Maybe at 115, which is still a massive win.
So the guide is teaching you that their first offer should almost never be accepted.
And your first number should rarely be your actual target. It's about managing expectations with that initial anchor.
Yes. And a critical detail here is who goes first. A structured approach would advise letting the employer anchor first, only if you have really bad market data.
But if you've done your homework.
The power move is to anchor high yourself before they have a chance to set a low bar.
All right, so we've done our research, we figured out our BTNA, we've set our high anchor. Now we're actually in the dialogue. The how-to guide has to include some scripts or techniques for handling those counteroffers and the tricky questions.
This is the execution step. It's the art of responding without reacting. The structure demands you stay calm.
So if they come back with a low counteroffer?
You don't immediately drop your anchor. The guide must instruct you to pivot right back to the documented value you bring to the table.
So you repeat your quantified achievements.
You say something like, I appreciate the offer of X, but based on my delivery of Project Y, which resulted in Z revenue, my documented value dictates compensation closer to my initial request of A.
That takes the personal feeling out of it completely. It's not, I want more money.
It's, the data supports this valuation.
That's powerful.
And a good guide also instructs you on the importance of packaging the request.
Meaning?
Never negotiate just the base salary in isolation. A real how-to approach recognizes that compensation is a whole bundle.
Salary, bonus, stock options, vacation time, title.
All of it. If they can't meet your salary anchor, the structure tells you to pivot and negotiate a different component of the package.
That's fantastic. So you're using non-salary items as a kind of currency. It broadens the whole negotiation landscape.
Makes it much harder for them to just give you a flat no. The structure provides livers. Salary cap by a pay band, push for a signing bonus or more stock.
So a skillful negotiation rarely ends in a stalemate.
It usually ends with a creative solution that works for both sides.
What about timing? The title implies there's an optimal moment. Do you respond as soon as you get the offer?
The guide has to stress that time is your friend, but only right at the beginning. You must always thank them for the offer, and then ask for at least 24 to 48 hours to review the package.
Why is that pause so important?
It lets you step away from the emotional high of getting the offer in the first place. You can consult your data, review your BATNA, and then formulate a disciplined, non-emotional response.
And you probably present that in writing.
Usually, yes. It's a mandatory discipline. Accepting on the spot just sacrifices your opportunity to negotiate all those other non-salary components.
And it probably signals to the employer that they anchored too low.
Exactly. The structured response, delivered a day or two later, reinforces your professionalism and your commitment to valuing your work accurately.
So we've really covered the crucial elements here that must define any strong guide titled How to Negotiate a Higher Salary.
We have data-driven research using the BATNA as a safety net, tactical anchoring.
And that disciplined execution in the dialogue phase.
The big takeaway, I think, from analyzing the source title is that this whole process is a learned skill. It's not something you're born with.
It removes the fear by replacing all that uncertainty with a predictable sequence of steps.
The title doesn't promise immediate success. It promises a method for achieving it.
So we've taken a deep dive into the very essence of professional self-advocacy. We deconstructed what a perfect how-to resource must contain.
And it shows that securing the compensation you deserve really just requires structure and planning.
Methodology conquers professional anxiety.
I like that. And this all raises an important final question for you to consider as you prep for your next career move.
Okay.
If the goal is a higher salary, is your greatest challenge the negotiation itself? You know, the actual delivery of your pitch and handling the back and forth?
Yeah.
Or is the greatest challenge accurately establishing your true market value and your BATNA before you even start the discussion?
That's a really profound distinction. Where are you spending your time? Are you dedicating enough time to that foundational data work, the market triangulation that gives you all your ammunition?
Or are you just over-indexing on practicing your pitch?
Ground your value in concrete data first. Then apply the structure we've identified.
Ultimately, the best structure in the world can't compensate for a lack of data. Your preparation is your power.
That is sound advice. And that's your deep dive into securing your financial value. We'll catch you next time.